Hello everybody, today we are going to be making the Evie Everyday Bowler from Rosa. It is such a cute bag. I made a couple mistakes, so don't look at that, just look at this size. This side's good. The inside of this is amazing. There is a divider section. This is a zipper pocket. There's a slip zipper pocket there, and then you can see it opens all the way to the bottom, and it has this fun folded top stitched gusset, which was a little bit mind-boggling at first, but it is really cool the way it comes together. So I had a blast making this bag, and I hope you will make it with me. Let's get started. I'm excited to see how it comes together because, full disclosure, I didn't read it all, but it's gonna be fun. So we're gonna get started with our straps. We've got our crossbody strap and we've got our handles. I decided to make the short handles, and yeah. So crossbody strap and handles. I'm not gonna be adding the strap ends that Alexis has in the pattern, but that's okay. So I've got my double-sided tape already attached to my pieces, and I'm just gonna peel that up and then slowly press it together. I like to start in the center, working my way out and placing the long raw edge of that strap next to, but not crossing, the pen line, my center mark. And I'm just going slow, being really careful not to stretch the fabric at all. And that's kind of why I like to start in the center, is because then you're pressing it out instead of trying to press it to fit in a certain way. And so what I'll do is I'll take my hands and I'll press some distance away from the last place and then press the rest down. So you're not like pulling on it, you're just letting things rest where they go, and just kind of slowly pressing out the rest. And of course, when I over-explained it, I got a weird little bubble. All right, so I do have my selvage of the print showing, but I can trim that off before I get started. Alexis does have you add strap end hardware, but I am choosing not to add strap end hardware. And I'm gonna get started. I am using this printed mid-weight luxe vinyl that I carry on my website, so it's got a nice weight to it. Feels nice. It's not too thick. This would be, I believe, easy enough to sew on a domestic machine as well. Alexis does design her patterns to be used with a domestic machine, so keep that in mind. You just want to make sure that you're using materials that you know will work for your machine. Try not to go too crazy with the bulk. Okay, so I'm just folding this in half as I go, and I like to top stitch in a complete rectangle. So I'll start at one end, I'll pivot when I get to the next, sew over the short side, and then I'll continue on down the other long edge. It's not raw. Okay, and then we're reaching the other end, and we'll finish that off. Okay. And then you could choose to sew your hardware into place or rivet. And you're gonna need 2 snap hooks and 1 slide adjuster, so you can start with whichever side you like. I like to have the quote-unquote wrong side of the strap face up and the wrong side of my slide adjuster. And we'll attach that. Again, you could use just rivets if you wanted to for that. I think I might. So I'm just going over to my rivet press, punching a hole, and then I'm going to insert a rivet. I apologize if you can't see this part. It's hard to get everything on camera and make editing simple enough. So I've got my post and my cap, and then I'm just setting that rivet through my materials. And then I'm going to grab my slide adjuster, and that'll come through. My snap hook goes through the slide adjuster, and then we'll add our last snap hook onto this side with another rivet. And you could add just one rivet, or you could go ahead and add two for funsies. And if you're using a vinyl that you worry might stretch over time, one thing cool that you can do is you could add a strip of like a waterproof canvas through the center of your strap, and that'll omit the stretching because you've kind of stabilized it without using any actual stabilizer. All right, so that is our crossbody strap complete. I'm just gonna set that down below, and we'll work on our handles. Now I actually made my handles, I believe, a little bit longer. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that was a different bag. When you cut out a lot at once, it's hard to keep it straight. Okay. And then that same thing, if you want to make sure there's absolutely no stretch in your handles at all, you could just center a strip of like a waterproof canvas onto one side, and that'll help reduce any stretch. You could even place it kind of like right here and encase it, encapsulate, or a little strip of interfacing if you wanted. And we are going to sew along all four sides. I am using a stitch length of about 4.5 to 5. It also makes top stitching go quicker. So if you're sort of worried about longer top stitching, it's nice. It's very nice. I love a pattern that starts off with the straps so that you've got, you know, full bobbins. You'll get them out of the way. It's kind of like your warm up. And then I believe you're not going to see the ends of this. No, you do. This you do. That's right. I was thinking it was like the Erica Bowler where the handle is like hidden in the bag. Not true. So trim any excess. You can add your strap ends if you'd like. And then she has you also mark out your rivet holes. I'm gonna wait till the end to do that because it's not that serious. So we've got that out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and grab our front, I should say our exterior main panels. Oh, sorry to the microphone. And our strap connectors. And then our D-rings and our 1-inch square rings. D-rings or triangle rings, whatever you'd like. Oh, there's that stuff I was, oh, shit. That stuff I was looking for the other day. All right. No, that wouldn't work. Okay, no biggie. All right, so we can go ahead and mark the center of these straps, and we'll fold the long raw edges into the center and top stitch it at 3/8 of an inch. So tape down the center. We'll fold these in half. If you knew that you were not going to use this bag as a crossbody, you could omit the triangle ring or D-ring. We're just gonna fold those. Make sure you've got your stabilizer attached. That's gonna help your bag just kind of hold up over time. A little extra tape over here. I didn't center it quite right. I'm so excited to see this bag finished. I love the combination of fabrics that I've chosen. I think it's going to be really good. All right, a 3/8 inch seam allowance for top stitching, because we're going to be top stitching this on the bag later. Nice. Dorothy's down here watching her tablet. So I got one end through and I'm just daisy chaining them all at once. Use less thread that way. Okay. So then we'll cut all those apart. And
are you making a heart bag?
I am not making a heart bag. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Okay. Move the paper backing, flip a rectangle onto the non-DST end.
I saw fairies.
Okay, and then the stabilizer should be through that connector. So we're gonna add some double-sided tape. Make sure that stabilized end is the top where you are not taping. And make sure you're taping the back side. Okay, fold over the stabilized end by 1.5 inches. And you can just peel up the tape a little bit. So it's 1.5 inches, which makes the finish connector about 7.25, including the hardware. So 2 of these are just gonna have a square ring, and 2 of them are gonna have a D ring and a square ring. So their sizes might be a little bit off. Oh, 7.25, including connector. Your sizing might be a little bit off because you're adding some extra bulk with that D-ring. So the D-ring is going to go behind the square ring. Definitely not enough tape on that one. So put 2 of these together on one of your main panels, and then the other one. And then it's D-ring behind the square ring. And then these are going to get placed 5 inches apart from each other in the center. So I'm just going to make a little snip on my center line because I can't see that from this side. And I happen to have a 5-inch ruler, so I can just line that up at the centers. And then that's going to go up about a measurement given. I'm just going to check. Yep, looks good. D-ring behind. And the D-ring is on the left. That is going to be true for both sides of the bag, I think. Yeah, it'll be the same for both sides. All right, and you might be thinking to yourself, why is it the same for both sides? And that is because, so I've got these set up the same. They become separate sides of the bag, and you want your crossbody connectors to be on separate sides. So you're going to make them look exactly the same, and they're going to be opposite when you put it together. All right, and then Alexis states in the pattern that you don't want to be as concerned with these lining up as you do your square rings lining up. And I think because of the way I measured mine when I put these together and folded them, we should be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start top stitching these on at 1/8 of an inch. You can make a mark so that you know where to stop, but I just kind of eyeball it. And you want to make sure that you're catching your connector. And then if you have to, you can do what I call backing out of a top stitch. Back up a little bit so that you know you're going to avoid your hardware. And then continue with the top stitching. And then sew across the bottom as well. Okay. And repeat that for the other one. Make sure your needle is on the way up when you start to pivot so that you don't skip any stitches as well. All right, we'll get our next one attached and then we're going to be adding a rivet to those as well. So centers snipped. And then again, you really want to make sure that your D-rings are going to end up in the right spot. And if your top stitching doesn't look good on some of this connector, that's okay because you're going to be adding a pocket over quite a bit of it. And you can backstitch that. You don't need to pull, tie, and knot because you're not going to see it in the end. Alrighty. So now, right above the connector top stitching, we're going to punch a rivet hole and install the rivet. And this is going to help us get right up against the hardware and keep it nice and taut, and then help secure everything as well. So I'm going like maybe 1/8 of an inch above my top stitching. My top stitching on these connectors is not even, so I'm going to go up a little bit higher on the one than the other so that at least my rivets are kind of in the same spot. So we'll punch those holes and place the rivets. And if you feel like your bag needs it, you can always add a little scrap interfacing to the back side of your rivet as well. And I will put the post through the back and then the cap on the front. And then slowly press it down so that you don't get any bent rivets. Fabulous. All right, and then again, these are going to go in opposite directions, so oh goodness. Just going to trim the excess threads that I've got on the front. We'll set these aside and we're going to work on our exterior slip pockets. And we're going to need our magnetic snaps. We need 4 washers and maybe a nameplate here. All right. So you can add your tag to one of these exterior pockets, kind of centered. And I think it's kind of fun that Alexis has hers off centered on the side. I think it's kind of smart because if something doesn't end up exactly where it should be in the center, it's maybe a little easier to hide it. But let's see, maybe I'll try it. It'll be fun. I'm gonna go 2 inches up from the bottom and maybe over here. Why not? So there's that. And now we are going to add that exterior pocket trim at 3/8 of an inch. If your slip pocket trim has any kind of direction to it, make sure that you're laying it the direction you want it to be, face up, and then flipping it down so that you're kind of reversing the order it'll need to be. And I cut mine longer than they needed to be because I wasn't sure how they were being put together. Okay, I'm kind of doing it in reverse order, but that's okay. And then we'll add this at 3/8 as well. Okay, for the lining, it says to top stitch. Through the lining. These colors together are so pretty. Okay, and then, yeah, I think we're gonna fold that seam allowance up. I would think you'd want to top stitch on your trim. Yeah, okay. So we'll fold that seam allowance up to the top. We're gonna fold all of this down. Okay, it says to add some double-sided tape, and I see now why. Okay. You want that up. You're creating this nice, bulky pocket piece. And you're kind of offsetting the bulk as well. So it says you want to line up your slip pocket pieces. Oh goodness. All right, I don't think I cut my slip pocket lining pieces accurately. I thought this was going to be put together a different way, so I'm going to focus on making my trim look the best it can, and then worrying about the rest. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to top stitch the exterior pocket trim at 1/8 of an inch around. Just that piece. You don't want to start basting anything together because we're going to be adding a magnetic snap. So this is creating this really nice sturdy feeling trim piece without adding any extra interfacing, because you're just using that material folded kind of in thirds. Ooh, it feels really nice too. All right, so we're gonna find the center. And we're gonna flip this up and out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna base it off my center line there. We're going to be attaching a magnetic snap directly below and centered. And now this does not have to be perfect because there is no set measurement given. And this is going to be where we attach our outie magnetic piece, only through the lining. So very carefully You can stabilize it if you need to. And we're going to add our outie piece, lining face out. Mine probably should have been a little bit higher up, but that's okay. All right. And now we're going to baste around the entire thing, and I'll trim my excess. So I didn't cut it quite accurately because, again, I hadn't read the pattern on how it comes together, but that's okay. We made it work in the end. And then I'll trim my excess down. Although I'm a little bit worried that maybe I don't have enough trim showing. Maybe I did cut things right and now it's like 3/8 of an inch shorter than it should be, but we'll find out, won't we? Because we're going to be repeating all of those steps on the other side with our other piece, but I want to kind of just see this one through and see how it looks. Oh, it's good. It does seem like mine's a little bit shorter than it should have been, because this is meant to line up like there. Yeah, babe.
Can I help you for a little bit?
Yeah.
I can still hear it over there.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna, can I stand in your lap?
Yeah.
What am I gonna do?
All right, so can you line the middle circle up with that circle? Got it? And then make a mark in those little lines. Yep, yep. Looking good. Alrighty.
Look.
Yeah.
I can.
Nope, we don't need to make any more marks. Thank you. I'm gonna use this sharp tool to make our little holes here. And then we're gonna take this piece and put that in the little holes that we just made, the little slits.
Why? Because you need this.
This is a magnet
Oh.
so that we can close the pocket.
Like this?
I'll show you. Okay, you want to take that little piece of plastic off? Oh, can you get it?
I got it.
Good job. You can throw it away.
How is this paper?
Yeah, you can take that off. Nice job. All right.
I'm going to stick it in the plastic.
Okay, then you can throw it away.
I'm going to put it right here for now.
Okay, so then I'll fold that. And now we can put that on top of that.
Okay.
Lining them up.
I'm going to put it in.
All right, so once you have that attached, you're gonna kind of
I like
center.
that.
Yeah. This should kind of like bow out a little bit.
I need to go start another.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
We're gonna bow this out just a little bit to create a 3D pocket.
I need to watch this part, okay?
Okay. Okay.
Now I'm here. Up here.
It'll be like that. It's okay. It doesn't have to be flat. All right, so then we're gonna sew around the outside edge.
Are you done? I want to clip it.
Okay. Good job.
Can I clip another piece? Can I clip right here?
Yeah. So mine is bulging in different ways. I'm not sure why.
There's a. Oh, I put that.
Here, one more.
Can I cut this? I want to watch this part, okay?
Okay. I'm not sure, but in the end it'll be okay. We'll work on the next one, and this time, because this is a tester, I'm not worried about it, but I'll go ahead and cut these to be exactly the same size. But hey, now we know how this comes together. And that's why you should always read the pattern before you get started. But sometimes we're just a girl. All right, trim right sides together with the lining. Proper seam allowance. And we're gonna pull that down and top stitch through the lining. Okay, no. I'm gonna grab our exterior. So then we're gonna add double-sided tape.
What is this for?
That's a lighter to burn any threads.
I want to do it.
Okay, yep. Tape that right down there.
And I want to cut it.
Oh no, I just rip it.
Oh.
Thank you though.
Now I can.
You can peel it, yeah. And then we'll flip this so that the bulk is pointing up.
Yeah, and then you want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you make this bag before?
No. I haven't. Do you want to know the name of this bag?
What?
It's called the Evie.
Evie?
Yeah.
What is this one?
Scissors. All right, and then we'll line up the bottom edges to match.
I'm done helping you.
Okay. Thank you for the help you gave me.
Oh,
That's okay. Thanks for cleaning it up. All right, we'll make sure that.
Where was it?
I just had it on that, but you can move it anywhere else you want. All right, and then we're gonna top stitch around. And then we'll open that back up. To attach our other magnet. There it is. I was like, goodness, where did I put it? All right, and I'm basing it off of the center mark that's already there. And she says you really want to go just right below the seam allowance line. Immediately below the seam allowance. Okay, so I should be kind of folding it like this, seeing my exterior. I gotcha. There we go. So that's actually a little lower than I thought it would be. That's okay. Alrighty. So we'll mark out the center and then make our lines through the washer. Poke those, make sure that you're not poking through your exterior fabric. And then this is where the outie portion will go. And then I'll baste around, well, I'll just go ahead and baste the bottom. I don't want any lifting to occur when I'm manipulating like where the magnet's gonna go. So I'm gonna create a little stamp with my silver pen. She says you could also use a dry erase marker if you wanted. We're gonna line up the bottom, avoiding setting the pocket down until it's where we need it to go, and then we'll press. She says if you don't have a marker to press this, you could just kind of stamp and make an indent with where you need that last washer to go. Lay that in place. Mark where the prongs go. Cut that. And then we'll attach the pocket and baste it down. And it will kind of rise a little bit. So we will baste all that down into place. This side definitely looks better than the other. It's a bummer I made it the front, but that's okay. Okay, yeah, that looks way better. All right, so those are the exterior main panels complete. So I'll set those aside for now. And we're gonna move on to starting to prep our lining. So we're gonna need to get our main linings. Everything is falling apart. Okay. This is when making those packs really comes in handy. So we need 2 number 5 zippers and 2 pulls. I think that's this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece. And then we have 2 of that kind of curved lining piece. 2 of the longer lining pieces. Our mirrored sets are 2 sets. Do I have 2 sets of those? And then the rest of this is for later. But I think I want to add this to my lining. Okay, yeah. I have the correct pieces. I'm gonna add a little piece of tape here. And then I'm gonna get all my pieces together. If your prints are directional, make sure that you've got everything cut correctly. All right, and then just to give kind of like some direction to these pieces when you're laying them out, this is going to be the top of that lining. It's got that curved edge, and we have 2 of those. So we're gonna need like 1 of these pieces for each side of the pocket because there's 2 zippered pockets. So if that helps you make these little piles, kind of breaking down further the packs that Alexis has created. There we go. So we're gonna start with our long zipper pocket lining, wrong side up, vertical on the workspace. Okay, right side up, sorry. And this is gonna get clipped to the top edge or taped down. And we're gonna baste that in place at 1/8 of an inch. If you want to, you could go ahead and start repeating these steps one side at a time. But I'm gonna just follow the steps and then repeat. So we've got that basted. And you want to imagine you're looking inside the pocket, so the lining should be face up. Now, we're going to take that and here, according to the figure, this is the top, but we're going to be attaching this to the bottom. And we're going to sew this together at 3/8 of an inch. We're going to center that. They should not be the same size. that's okay. And that's good. Okay. So now we're going to fold and press that away. Then wrap the main lining around the zipper edge and seam allowance so that your two lining pieces are now wrong sides together. And then she kind of folds this to create this nice little band at the top. So zipper teeth face up. The top of our lining is still way down here. That's okay. No zipper pull yet, and you're gonna top stitch that around. Alrighty. Now, turn over the main lining and fold the zipper pocket lining up to the zipper edge. This is our remaining zipper edge. And we're going to baste that together. Make sure nothing gets twisted. Still no zipper pull. Okay. And now we're going to add our last piece here. So keep in mind this is going to get kind of folded on itself, and this will get face down. So if you've got a print with a direction, you want to lay this in place how it's going to go and flip it up. But I think using a solid print is going to be your best option until you get the hang of this bag. All right, so we're going to sew that in place at a 3/8 inch, or as close to it as you can. And then we're going to open that up and top stitch. Okay, separate your zipper. I don't want to do it like this. I don't want to do that. All right. So this is what we're looking at. Now press the zippered pocket front and the zipper pocket lining away from the zipper and top stitch. And I think this would be easier to press when it's all together. Maybe not though, but you want to press that nicely and top stitch. All right, and now that this is separate and I know this is going to be like my main lining front, sort of, I'm gonna go ahead and find the center and add my little tag. And then you know you're not sewing through anything you shouldn't be. We'll pull the threads to the back and top stitch. Tie it off. We're not going to top stitch. We've already top stitched. All right. Reinstall your zipper pull, pull it off. Okay. And then just keep in mind how you want your zipper pull to zip. And I did cut my zippers to like 9 inches just to give myself some extra wiggle room. And then we'll reinstall that. It doesn't say to though. Okay, we don't do it yet. Okay, I won't then. Alrighty, so we're going to bring your double top stitched edge of the zipper up and lay it on top of the main lining, creating a zippered slip pocket. Measure your piece height compared to the main lining side panel. So you can clip that together. There we go. Now that you've pressed the piece, you have creased the zippered pocket lining in its naturally intended position. Fold the main lining and the zipper pocket front. This is the zipper pocket front, and this is the main lining out of the way. So we're going to sew the sides of the zippered pocket lining to close off the pocket. Do not sew past the first zipper edge. And do not trim your zipper. Okay. So I'm starting literally in my seam allowance. And this is creating a zipper pocket in the lining that's out of your seam allowance to keep as little bulk as possible. And then you can trim that down, but I'm not going to. We'll lay that all back and add our zipper pull. It's like, did you trim your seam allowance? I'm like, I'm not going to. I didn't, and I'm not gonna. So if you have a domestic, you definitely want to. It's going to prevent unnecessary bulk, but I know that the material I'm using and my machine will not cause any problems. So we're going to add our pull back on. If you have to unzip it a little bit, just make sure you're not unzipping it completely, because then you're going to be kind of ruining that closed zipper. Set everything down into place. And then we're going to grab our sides, mirrored sides, and then lay these right sides together. Like that. One on each side. All right. And then 3/8 inch seam allowance. We can trim down our zipper, and you can trim down your seam allowances if you'd like. I'm good, and I'm gonna top stitch through that. And this would be another fun seam to add a woven label. Yes. So cute. So you've got a slip pocket and a zippered pocket. And then you're gonna baste that to your exterior main panel. And if you don't have your centers marked in a really good way, do that now. I'm just gonna do a quick little notched so I can easily find it when I go to put everything together. Great. Not that it's something you could get mixed up, but make sure that the tops are aligned nicely. And we'll go all the way around the outside edge. And then we're going to repeat all of that again. Set that aside. We're going to repeat all those steps because we remember them perfectly. All right, zipper, face up on the lining, kind of centered.
It said, story.
Basting that into place, and then we're going to attach this centered, right sides together at the bottom of the main lining, 3/8 of an inch all the way across. I I went ahead and made 3 bobbins for this bag, and we might be using like 2.5. There's a lot of top stitching and basting involved, and then the binding as well, so. There is that. And now this becomes the top edge of our slip pocket. So we're gonna crease these down. And this is gonna get creased right up against that edge of the bulk where it naturally wants to rest. Press that, and then we'll go around all 4 sides. And because there's no super specific measurements, you can kind of play with the amount of folding that's needed at that top edge, especially if you have like a print that you really want to showcase. Like maybe there's a set part you want to see, you could go ahead and kind of add that. All right, and now this is the front of the zipper panel in the lining. So honestly, however you want to do this, maybe it's making more sense right now to attach this here or use double-sided tape to clip that. We can baste that into place. And then this piece remaining is the lining of that zippered pocket. So we can put those sides together, the front zipper, the front of your lining, the front of your zipper pocket, and your zipper pocket lining. I know those names like that can be really confusing. All right, we want to sew all the way across here, 3/8 of an inch. And then you can press that. Now, honestly, for me, I am not worried about top stitching through the lining. So if you feel like it would be too hard to take apart your zipper here, you could just top stitch through the seam allowance like this. So I'm gonna try it and just see what it's like. So we've got that top stitched. And now we can kind of play with how this is going to be folded. We'll grab our lining here. And again, make sure the fold is accurate and that things are even. Okay, so that's even. We've got our zipper pocket lining here creased, and that is what we're gonna sew. Only the zipper pocket lining, not the back of the slip pocket, which is wider. So we'll move all that out of the way, lay that flat, and we're going to start right under that seam allowance. So yeah, I think it worked out okay to not separate those, and for me it's easier. For my skill set, I'm not as great with zipper tape as other people might be, so it just made it easier to not have to take it all the way apart. And then just really practice making sure you're able to get the pull on otherwise as evenly as possible. I'm not really good at like pushing it on. There we go. Getting closer. Okay. Oh, crap. Did I create a fold line? I don't know. There we go. So then we'll add our side panels. And it might feel like that is the trickiest part done, but I don't believe that's true. All right, 3/8. Trim down anything you feel like you need to. Especially in interfaced cotton, that can get dense pretty quick. Make sure your zipper pull is attached before you start top stitching the sides on. And then we'll baste that down. And then baste it to the exterior main panel. And I'm going to again snip my centers a little bit better. Basting all the way around at 1/8 of an inch. And then I think my seam allowance was a little bit off on this side. Trimming that away. Okay, cleaning that up. So that is it for the main part of the lining and attaching those to the exterior. So now things are gonna get a little interesting, but I think it's gonna be fun. We refer back to the pattern and make sure I've got my steps in the right order. Okay, we're gonna work on the center divider. So we're gonna need a ruler. I wonder if this one will work. It'll be fun. Okay, divider pocket exterior, which has our, did I not need two of those? Divider pocket exterior, divider pocket linings, facing, zipper, and zipper pull. I'm gonna set those aside for now. We're gonna start with our facing. Measure 1 inch from one long edge and draw a 7-inch centered line. So this is actually a 7-inch zipper pocket. So it's already the size I need it to be. So I'm just gonna find my center. Line that up. And that is the size it needs to be. And then I'll repeat that on this side as well. Okay. Huzzah. All right, we're gonna grab some 1/4 inch wide double-sided tape, and this is gonna go on the right side. Okay. And this is gonna be, okay, we're gonna find our center. We're gonna lay that centered as well. So right sides together. Lining up your centers. And so, yep, everything seems like it's in the right spot. So since I already marked it twice, I don't need to mark it again, but we're going to stitch around using like a size 4 stitch length. All the way around that box, making sure to get our needle exactly where it needs to go. Nope, our needle. And then increased back if you'd like. And I'll go ahead and tie this off really quick as well. Uh-oh. Dropped a stitch. Should be okay. Now this isn't that big of a deal. You can back stitch through this. We're not going to be seeing any of this because we have that facing. So we'll start carefully cutting through that. And you're gonna cut a V shape at the end. So you're gonna cut through your facing and then out at an angle. And then we're gonna pull this through. And then I'm gonna just take a roller, really flatten it. I could also use an iron. Oops. We might even be able to use some double-sided tape to hold that. But should be okay. And in the meantime, I think I'll even kind of leave some clips just to help it rest. All right, so we'll take our remaining zipper, remaining short zipper, and our lining. And we're gonna be putting lining face up, zipper face up, baste that underneath. And so you want your lining to be right sides together on either end, either edge of the zipper, I should say. Once you've got that in place, I think we can, yeah, we can slide the zipper on. And we're going to press this down flat. And then we can use double-sided tape . We're going to lay that centered there. Yep. It's pretty well centered. It's a little bit crooked, so I'm just going to keep kind of manipulating. Just be really careful that you're not pulling on your zipper as you're doing all of that, because then that's not good. Okay, keeping everything flat, we're just going to sew around at 1/8 of an inch. Keeping your tails long. We've already increased our stitch length back to the normal top stitch. Putting our thread to the back. Okay. I'm about to pull out a stitch that I want to keep. So I need to fix it. I'm like, where is it? Maybe not. Nope, I did. We can fix it. So when you lose a stitch, just make sure your threads are nice and long. I mean, you would have wanted to do that before. If your threads are short and you lose a stitch, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. But I'm just going to go into that hole and then close that back up. And then it's like it never happened. Don't tell anybody. They're not gonna know. Who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. Cut those off. Okay. Keep your divider pocket lining pieces flat and out of the way. Top stitch the zipper. And now we're going to grab these pieces only and lay them so they're even. Your zipper should kind of fold on itself. And we're gonna sew this in 2 parts. Well, 3 parts. You could do 2, but we'll just do 3. So we're gonna sew that. Move our zipper up and get as close as we can there. And then we'll flip this and do the same thing on the other side, moving our zipper up and out of the way. And then we'll close it off. And then you can trim the excess if you'd like, but this is what you're left with. You've got this nice structurally sound divider. But we're gonna flip that out of the way. We're going to line up these pieces here. We're going to clip along the bottom, but you do not sew along the bottom. We're going to make a mark, whatever is stated in the pattern. And that is where you're going to begin sewing at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So we're going to back stitch, and then you're going to taper the stitching just past the bottom curve. So we're following around that outside edge and just falling off the edge of the fabric. And so if you're going to start on the opposite side, just remake that mark. Oh my God, this interfacing gives me the ick. It feels nice. I should say it provides nice interfacing structure, but I don't like the way it feels. It's okay. Okay, and then taper off. And then we're gonna trim the excess at our stitching. So leave a little bit past the mark you made, but trim the rest away. And there is a reason that there is an opening. So don't go thinking like, this is stupid at the top, you know? And then this is where you turn the whole thing through currently. Nope, you don't. Sorry, my bad. Don't do that. I knew I was forgetting something. I was like, wait, when do you put that in? Now. Grr. Okay. It's a real test of this interfacing. All right. Now we're going to be dealing with that opening we left at the top. And before I start getting that ready, I'm just gonna clip this right now. I'm putting my finger in that little opening that we left at the top and pressing it as flat as I can, just to kind of let it remember that shape. And then we've got two little tiny vinyl pieces in here. These are now our connectors. Well, I guess they always were, weren't they? But now especially, they definitely are. So we're gonna fold in half to the center. Erica's, I know it's Alexis, I'm so sorry, she's never gonna watch this, neither of them. Love you both. The picture makes it seem so much bigger than it actually is, because it's just this little strip, 1/8 of an inch. And then we're going to fold this in half. With the wrong sides of it together, so your folded edge hidden. Okay. And now we are going to tuck this into this little opening. Got that tucked in there. And we're going to sew this at a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And we're repeating that on the other side. So I'm going to use these clips. To help me kind of lose my mind. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Flattening it first, using the stabilizer as a guide. Stick that in there. Maybe tweezers? And do your best to make sure it stays lined up. I am not skilled with tweezers, I'll tell you that. There we go. Okay, and then once you kind of get it through, straighten your seam back out. But keep that tucked in there. Okay. And then that'll sit flat. Now we can turn it. You don't need to worry about your zipper being open or anything. Push that tab out. And straighten out your zipper pocket. Just kind of give everything a good press. You can unzip it just to make sure you like the way things are sitting. You've got that zipped up. Okay. So there's that. Now we're gonna grab, I'm not adding purse feet to the base of the bag, but you can. So there's that. We've got our wings, our zipper, this piece of lining that we did not need to cut two of. But I don't think you guys did, I just think I did, because I'm working off of the tester. So it's just a normal tester thing. These are the bottom linings. Bottom. We're gonna need our zipper panels, zipper, etc. But I'm gonna work on this right now, just what's in front of me. So we don't need to add our purse feet, but you can if you want. We're gonna take our divider pocket lining and our two bottom lining panels. We're gonna find the center. And just line that up. You can baste it down if you want. I'm just gonna clip it all. And we're gonna sew that at a 3/8 inch seam allowance the entire way. And then we are going to trim that down. Okay. And just kind of press that so it sits flat. You'll see this is becoming the inside of the bag. So now we can set that aside and we're gonna work on our lining, our zipper guards. Okay, folding that in half. Top stitch the top edge of the zipper guards, and then we're going to make a rivet hole. And I'm just going to trim this up to match a little bit better. Oops. It's fine. It's fine. All right, centered at 1/8 of an inch. Sorry, 1/4 of an inch from that top folded edge. We're going to make a rivet hole. And then she says you can apply fray check if you need to. So I'm just moving over here to quickly punch that hole. I think it's something you want to do now. You don't want to wait for that because it'll just be a little harder when the bag is put together to reach those. Okay. Now, this is a trust the process zipper panel. Not gonna lie, part of me is like, why are you making it so complicated? But it does look really cool in the end. So trust the process. You do want your zipper to be exactly the length it needs to be. So I'm gonna carefully trim that down. Here we go. So what we're gonna do first is no poles attached. Sorry, never mind. Never mind. Attach your poles. Okay, great. These are gonna zip toward each other. If you feel like you are someone who needs extra zipper tape, honestly, you could have extra, but make sure you're measuring and marking the 27-inch length. So like, let's say you wanted to cut it to 29, maybe give yourself an inch marking along each end so you know where to start lining things up. Okay, there's that. So zip those to the top zipper in the center. All right, this is face up. We're gonna take a zipper guard and baste it right sides together. Wrong side of the zipper, right side of the guard on each end, just 1/8 of an inch. And then we're gonna repeat that on the other side of the same zipper with the same, I should say the same edge, the same end, yes, with the same zipper guard. So we're creating a little cone, essentially, on each end of the zipper. So there's that. Make sure there's no twisting. Your lining fabric should be on the wrong side of your zipper because that is the interior of your bag. Only your exterior should be touching the teeth of your zipper. So, yeah. Okay. Now we're going to retrieve one zipper panel lining and lay it right side up on your workspace. Position and clip the wrong side of the zipper guards and the zipper to the right side of the zipper panel. So we are going to be laying this flat like that. It's just the wrong side of your zipper to the lining fabric. So basically, it's like I mentioned. And I'm just gonna go ahead and use some 1/8 inch wide double-sided tape for right now. And then we're gonna take one of our exteriors. Carefully pressing the zipper into place. I'm not stretching or pulling on the zipper, just letting it rest where it needs to go. And then we're going to take our zipper panel exterior. And I'm gonna add some double-sided tape to the end with the stabilizer closest to it. Okay. And then this will go right sides together with the zipper panel as you already have it. And now we're going to sew this together at about a 3/8 inch, as close as you can to 3/8. Make sure your zipper pulls are out of the way when you need to. So like right now, my needle's down, so I'm just gonna push my zipper pulls past where I've sewn already so that I don't have to worry about them. But when you do that, just make sure that you kind of press everything back into place. Right now I'm pressing that out of the way. And then you're going to press the exterior with it. We're going to top stitch that okay. Zipper panel, exterior, and the lining away, and top stitch the zipper panels. I don't think we're supposed to be sewing through, well, you can't sew through your cover. And they will not be even. Your zipper panel exterior is going to be wider. That's because we're going to be doing some fancy folding in a little bit. So if you wanted to increase your stitch length and you haven't yet, now is the time. Zipper guards out of the way. And zipper pulls out of the way. All right. So lining out of the way. We are going to fold the zipper panel lining up and away, and you can clip it to the zipper guards. Just to keep it goodbye. Okay. Add a strip of double-sided tape into that little gap. Fold the zipper panel exterior wrong sides together, folding between the two stabilizer pieces, and stick it down well. May want to use 1/4 inch for that because mine is not holding at 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if 1/2 inch would be like overkill, but yeah, we'll try 1/4. Do a little bit of 1/4 inch. Oh yeah, 1/4 is sticking way better. Okay. All right. Okay, and then we'll add double-sided tape to kind of this area because we're going to be folding it. Okay. Okay. So what I want to know is how wide is this supposed to be in the end? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this, but you can't top, well, okay. You're not supposed to top stitch through your lining for this because you don't want to see that stitched line. However, also, this bag is finished with binding, so your lining and exterior can be separate anyway. Just a thought, but again, so we'll add double-sided tape to everything again because my tape didn't stick to the profuse. Kind of what it seems like. Overkill. Complete and utter overkill. But it's gonna stick. Now I cannot use 1/2 inch for the next piece. So I gotta get more 1/4. Hello. You won't stick today. Okay. So that is stuck, and this is technically the underside because I can't see my zipper of this panel. So we're gonna add another piece of double-sided tape. Dang. Under that. I do have more 1/4 inch. Good. We're gonna peel that away. And so what this is doing is it is creating extra strength along the zipper. We've added extra structure to the bag without adding extra seams to put together, without too much extra bulk, I guess you could say. So I'm just pulling these apart and pressing it down and doing my best to make it look pretty consistent. And my lining is a little bit bigger now because I used that 1/2 inch wide double-sided tape, but it's not going to be a big deal. So before everything kind of peels up, I'm gonna go ahead and carefully top stitch that at 1/8 of an inch. So this to me kind of mimics, or I should say mirrors, how the slip pocket comes together as well. How you're creating these folds that in the end create more structure without adding bulk, more layers or more pieces, because it is more layers literally, but I think it's cute. I'm just gonna trim my lining really quick, and then we'll keep on keeping on. Oh, these scissors are so sharp. I love them. All right. So now we're repeating those steps on the other side. We're gonna grab our lining, add some double-sided tape. I feel like I have double-sided tape just everywhere, literally everywhere. A little piece over here, a little piece over there. Okay, goodbye, stop sticking to me. I am very much enjoying the structure that the the waterproof canvas light is giving. Without it being hard to work with. Because I feel like sometimes waterproof canvas like hurts my hands, especially after years and years of working with it, to kind of manipulate. So I am happy. I mean, I sell it, so I should be. I already knew that though. Just letting you know. It's good. Still good. Okay. So I'm gonna go slow. Linings are right sides together. That's what I didn't want to happen. We're gonna line up that bottom edge, placing that into the tape. Lining up my zipper. Okay. Good, good, good. I am wondering, and I think I'm gonna try it, if I could create the fold before I attach it to the zipper panel. So 1/4 inch, I'm not saying try this. but I'm gonna try it. A 1/4 inch here. Like, it's not going to make top stitching it more difficult. So I'm imagining I've got my zipper attached here. We're gonna fold this in half. Man, that Profuse doesn't want to stick to tape. Maybe the Wawak tape it would, but I know this tape isn't quite as like, I mean, it's not as sticky on purpose. But anyway. So I'm gonna use 1/2 inch then. Fold that down. We're not top stitching this yet. We're gonna flip that over and add the 1/4 inch double-sided tape to it. And then we'll fold this on itself. And then I can even double check the width. It's a little bit smaller. But it's because of that 1/2 inch wide double-sided tape. I think it'll be okay. Yeah, it'll work. So I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch that. And now the end here is the end I'm attaching my zipper to, so that they're top stitched toward each other. Okay. Yeah, that just made more sense to me. Felt like less things to maneuver or worry about. Okay. Tape that. I'm gonna add a couple of clips as well. Yeah, my zipper pull. 3/8 inch Now we're going to open that and top stitch through the lining and the exterior. Oh, no. I just don't have a consistent seam allowance. Right there, at least. Try that again. Like my zipper tape. Yeah, that's much better. Weird. Alrighty. Make sure your zipper guard is out of the way. Make sure we're top stitching through the exterior and the lining. Zipper guard out of the way, so those should be loose. And we're going to baste these pieces together. Okay. Now that we have that all put together, we're gonna grab our exterior base. I don't have any purse feet attached, but I think I'm going to top stitch at like 1 inch all the way around. So I'm just gonna use my zipper pocket ruler here. And just make a little corner line where I want to go, and if you feel like you need to connect it, you can. Yeah, I think that'll be something fun along the bottom. Yeah, I think that's fun. Just need it to go away. There we go. Okay. So we're gonna baste the base first. Goodness. To our lining gusset. And it says if the lining is a little bit wider, that's okay. So we're gonna just center it and baste. Now, in case you were thinking, oh, I could just add the you know, the D-ring to this seam. No, you cannot. This D-ring would be way too low to be able to actually be of any use to the bag. Okay. So now I've got that attached at 3/8 of an inch. We're gonna make a big loop. And you can feel how much structure those folds added. It's intense. It's awesome though. Okay, and then baste all that. Make sure your zipper doesn't split open while you're doing that. Mine did on this side. I'm a little worried about it, honestly, but I think it should be okay. And then we're going to loop this back down. All the while your divider is out of the way. Okay, 3/8. If you would like, you could, you know, do some fancy folding on the gusset where these are connected to reduce bulk. You can also trim a little bit. She mentions to trim down just the exterior, but I'm not gonna do that. Just gonna leave it be the way it is. Ah, look at that. So cool. And then top stitch through both sides of the lining, making sure that your divider is out of the way. So flattening that seam we just put together, we're going through the exterior and the lining. And if your machine is not good with multiple layers, that's where it would be good that you trimmed your exterior. And then make sure you're folding your divider out of the way. It would suck to have gone this far to mess it up. Pulling everything up and out of the way. And then you're going to baste the bottom together. And you're going to taper any difference from your gusset to your base. And just kind of trim that away. There's one side done, and we'll do the other. It sounds like it's about time for a new bobbin. Cool. So now it's time to put it together. I'm just gonna take a second and trim my little extra threads. Okay, we're gonna mark our centers, lining up the bottom seam one side at a time. And then it says to kind of move that as well, because it says you should have, oh, 4 center mark snips. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. I thought it was like, now fold that and snip that. I'm like, but where does that line up? Where does that go? Anyway. So I am sadly going to start with the front of the bag because that is the side that doesn't look great. So we'll start there. We're going to flip this to be wrong sides out. And we're going to find our centers. So right sides are together and wrong sides are out. So I'm going to start by clipping everything together, and then I'll grab my stapler. The gusset folds, the zipper gusset folds are structural, adding enough structure that I definitely think those staples are going to come in handy because of how much it kind of wants to fight back. So we'll grab the bottom center. Make sure you're not sewing through your gusset divider. I'll preemptively grab my staple remover. Whew. Okay. Honestly, everything fits really well without me having to add any snips to the gusset. So I am happy with that. Like, there's no puckers, there's no gaping, like it just fits. That's nice. I do see a spot where I messed up, and that is right here. I didn't catch all of my, oh my gosh, what? Oh, I've got a weird little fold in it. I'm scared. Did I catch it? There's a weird little fold, but it opens just fine. I don't think it'll hurt the functionality of the bag, but I'm a little like, oh, dang. So I'm gonna clip my dividing piece out of the way. I'm going to add a couple of staples in key spots. I don't think you need a lot of staples, but I'm also not here to tell you how many staples is enough. Like, you gotta measure that with your skill level and what you're comfortable with. Just make sure you actually have staples in your stapler. Rude. I think that is my one gripe with this teeny tiny little stapler that I've had for 12 years, is that like it holds 15 staples. That's about it. All right, I am just adding them to the bottom curve. That is what I feel comfortable with, but you do what you gotta do. And then I'm gonna sew this at 1/4 of an inch because we're gonna be adding our binding as well. Hold on. Yeah, 1/4 of an inch. Okay. And then if you're having to get close, you can use a screwdriver or stiletto to help you manipulate everything back where you want it to be. And then personally, I like to bind each side as I finish it, but I'll go ahead and wait. I'm gonna remove the staples. Oh. All right, I'm gonna trim my excess lining so it all fits together. I'll go ahead and wait to bind it. I can do that. I can wait. So now we're gonna unclip the divider and clip it to the other side. For now, center marks are marked. Oh, hi, Mark. All right. There's that. Now, if you are someone who does not like staples or you don't have a stapler, you could baste those together first. So like the top, you can baste it down. The bottom, you could baste it down. And then you can worry about the rest if that feels easier. Okay. And I'm clipping everything down to the curves. And then putting the curves together. And the base of the bag should sit right at the base of the curve. There's like a flat edge to the bag, and that's where that base should line up. Feels good. I'm gonna unzip it just a little bit. I'm gonna start at the top of the bag. 1/8 to a quarter of an inch, sorry. Make sure your hardware is out of the way. It shouldn't be a problem, but just in case. Make sure you keep your zipper guards out of your sewing here. Ah! The bobbin got me right when I knew. I was like, that doesn't sound right. Okay, so definitely 3 bobbins for this bag. And it's about, like I said, 2.5. Back there. Okay, so we'll come back to that. I think we finished this with binding. Also, that's why you staple, because I did have a little bit of shifting, even though I was like, I'll be fine. I don't need to staple it. Karma was like, should have stapled. It's okay. I know this bag isn't going to turn out perfectly. I feel like I'm giving it a good effort. All right. So much structure. I love it. I love the way the pockets look inside too. I love that it's equal on both sides of the bag. Now we're gonna bind it. So you can use a normal binding method. I like to use pre-made binding. I'm just gonna use black. I had hot pink, but I don't see hot pink anymore. I think the black will be good though. And so what I do with this bag binding is I will just measure both sides that I'll need. I'll cut that. We just need that amount. Okay. And then I'm going to use 3/4 inch double-sided tape. Okay. Sorry, gotta check my equipment's still working. 3/4 inch wide double-sided tape, kind of down the middle of that binding. And then with the side up that I'm going to be sewing from, I start there. So I just peel a little bit and I'm going to fold this over the edge. Folding and clipping. And I am just kind of eyeballing where half is, and I'm making sure it's wrapping around all of the edges. And I'm pressing it into place, so that's what's nice about having the double-sided tape on there. I feel like it's a gentle enough double-sided tape that most machines might be okay with it, but definitely use caution. Okay, I've got a little bit of excess, so I'm just gonna cut that off. If you're worried about wasting, you can measure a little bit more carefully. So I'm gonna overlap that on the raw edge, and then I'm gonna fold the other raw edge under so it's finished. And then just wrap that down as tight as possible. You are going to see a little bit of a gap because of the thickness when you're overlapping. So if you're not into that, you could use a different method. All right, and then this is going to be a 3/8 inch seam allowance. This is bigger than the seam allowance we've already done, so you want to be really careful to be as consistent as possible because this is the final top stitch for your bag. I'm using a screwdriver just to carefully press that down. Keep anything from lifting up and keep anything from bunching. Okay. Then I just pray that I caught it everywhere. Didn't quite catch it in this bottom corner, but I know that it will sit in the corner and kind of close itself off over time. So we can just repeat that on the other side. All right, and then we're going to start sewing this side. I'm going to trim away that extra piece. Okay. Everything else looks to be good. Oh, sorry. Probably didn't even help. Will I listen to that? Probably not. Okay. Slowly peel that tape. Don't peel it all at once. All right, we're getting to the overlap. Cut my little bit of excess. Peel off the last bit of my tape. Here we go. The last things we're going to need to do are rivet our handles on and rivet our center divider to the zipper guards. think we'll be okay. I've got a whole little chunk down here on the bottom that didn't quite catch, but I hate to have 2 rows of stitching. I think we'll be all right. All right, so now we're gonna turn the bag. It's so cool though. Oh my gosh. So I've got my fist in the corner. To push that out. Press that seam up and out of the way. And you're going to be kind of rolling the binding up against the gusset. Kind of pushing that out. So now we're going to be lining up your divider tab, which this is like the cutest thing ever. Oh, I've got a clip stuck in there to that hole there. And then we're gonna rivet that, but I just wanna kind of give the bag a look. See how it kind of falls open. And you've got your magnetic snaps. Yeah, my front one is not great. It's okay though. Back one looks really good. Doesn't look like I've missed any stitches anywhere. And you want to kind of massage those seams a bit. It's so weird. I feel like it's falling open more on one side. Like, is the bag crooked? I don't know. All right, I'm gonna clip the handles on just for funsies. Basically, you're going to have already punched your holes if you're following the pattern exactly, but I'm gonna just punch the holes in a little bit and rivet through. Oh, I'll do it off camera. I'm gonna punch the holes and rivet through that divider. And then your crossbody strap connects to your D-rings, which are on either side of the bag. So there it is completed, just about. And then your divider kind of sits inside the bag and it zips up. Oh wow. So fun. I just feel like mine is crooked. And my back looks better than the front because of that pocket I messed up. But that is okay. That's for me to fix. I was kind of feeling doom. Yeah, I was skeptical about the folded zipper panels, but I get it. I do, because it adds so much body to it. And I did feel like it was easier to do the folding and then attach it. So I don't know, maybe I'll suggest it and it's gonna be different in the pattern in the final end, but I doubt it. But yeah, overall, I would definitely make this bag again. It's super cute. I think, and this would just make it probably too different. I think it would be really cute without the grab handles, or if you were to add a D-ring connector strap or situation to either side here. So that would be something separate you'd have to sew on, or maybe make it like a little hidden connector with a triangle ring. But I think that would be super cute so that they weren't together. I think that's my one big like, oh, I don't know, because then like, I don't know. My God, just look at that. I'm like, well, but this side is good. It's good. I think it's just my magnetic snap that is like somehow off, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you will make this bag. If you got to this part, I bet you did make the bag. So thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Whoa. It's sunny.
Nothing yet.
What is this?
That's a cart.
Order up. Here's your food.
Oh, thank you. My favorite.
What?
What?
What did you say?
I wasn't talking to you, Dorothy.